Here's why traditional hypertrophy training is dead and what you need to do this year instead to grow the most amount of muscle in the least amount of time. Be sure to watch to the end of the video so that you can get my exact split and you can copy and paste it into your own life. My name is Jared and I've grown over 40 pounds of muscle and now I help skinny guys do the same thing. So if you want to gain confidence, muscle, and discipline, then follow along and join my community if you want more information just like this. Let's start with what you should stop doing in 2026. Stop doing 20 rep sets, stop doing 20 sets per week, and definitely stop chasing pumps and train to failure every single set. You've been following magazine routines from 2010, and here's why they don't work anymore. We've learned from newer meta-analyses and newer research that's come out that shows that these things, all they do is build more fatigue than is necessary and make it harder to recover from. And these workouts were popularized by already genetically gifted hypertrophy monsters, you know the type, who were on steroids where anything they did would cause them to grow. Mowing the lawn would cause them to grow. And to drive my point home even further, there's a study conducted in 1996. Yes, it's a little outdated, but they can't conduct this type of study now because they know too well how bad steroids are for you. Anyways, they divided participants into 4 categories: no exercise and no steroids, no exercise with steroids, exercise and no steroids, and exercise with steroids. If you're paying attention, you can already see the change in fat-free mass was larger in the no exercise with steroids group than the exercise and no steroids group, which is insane. They also measured tricep size, quadricep size, bench press strength increases, and squat strength increases. And they found that in the strength areas, the steroids and non-steroids group were just about the same, which makes sense because you're not getting the neural adaptation that you would without the exercise. And of course, they found the tricep and quadricep increase in size to be larger in the no exercise, which correlates to the increase in fat-free mass. The point that I'm trying to make with all this is that you need to be careful who you follow on social media. If you're following someone who could be on steroids or is definitely on steroids, buying a program from them does not make a whole lot of sense because they're going to grow no matter what. And so you don't really know if the program's actually good. And when these steroid users promote programs that have super high volumes, it's because they can recover from it. They have a higher anabolic window and longer recovery times that you as a natural lifter cannot recover from. And so doing things with lower volume and lower reps is going to be a good thing for a natural lifter to follow. TLDR, stop doing these, start doing these. Stop doing bro splits, body part splits, push-pull legs twice, myo reps, drop sets, and pushing beyond failure. And start doing low volume 4 to 10 sets per week, low reps 4 to 8 reps in every single set, leaving 1 rep in reserve and hitting each muscle group 2 to 3 times per week. And I'll go over these shortly, so stay tuned. So what has changed in recent years, or at least what has become clearer to us? Newer research has come out to challenge everything that we thought we knew about strength training and growing muscle. Even things in my degree that I learned has turned out to be wrong, which makes a lot of sense because doctrine is typically slower to update and catch up to the newer science. And so what has changed? Well, hypertrophy versus strength training has just about been debunked. There's not really a huge difference because if you're gaining strength, you're also building muscle. If you're building muscle, you're also building strength. So yeah. And the sets per week is lower than we thought it was. As I mentioned before, 20 sets per week is too much. You really only need like 4 to 10. And I would say start at 4 hard sets for a muscle group in a week. And rest times, 3 minutes should be the minimum, up to 5 minutes per set so that you're fully recovered and can get the most stimulus on the next set that you do. And even the differences, or really the similarities, in the relative rate of muscle growth for men and women. More and more research is being released, analyzed, and confirmed about the positives of low volume, low fatigue training. But don't just take my word for it. Go try it for 3, 6, 9 months and come back and tell me that you're not the strongest and most muscular you've ever been. And I'm going to give an example of what to do shortly. Here's the only framework that you need going forward. If you ignore these, you'll stay stuck. If you follow them, I guarantee you will grow muscle. The first one is directly hit each muscle group 2 to 3 times per week. What does directly mean? Well, so if I'm trying to work my shoulders, directly hitting them is going to be a shoulder press, lateral raise, rear delt fly. I'm directly hitting the muscle intentionally. Indirectly hitting the muscle would be hitting the shoulders while you're doing bench press, a lat pull down, a row. Those are indirectly hitting the shoulders. The next one is 4 to 10 sets per week broken into 2 to 3 workouts. And so what does this look like? If you're a beginner, I would start with 2 and 2. If you're doing an upper lower split, I would do 2 sets of flat bench press, 2 sets of incline bench press, and just keep it at there. If you're not growing with that, and your protein and calories are dialed in, and you're still not getting stronger and growing muscle, do 3 and 2, or 3 and 3, 4 and 2, 4 and 3, things like that. You can mix it up. Just make sure the sets are hard, and we'll talk about that more later. For your reps, you should be doing 4 to 8 reps per set, focused on building reps or weight weekly. That's progressive overload. Okay, in the 4 to 8 rep range is the best because the last 5 reps in a set are the most stimulating. And so what does that mean? When we're talking about the last 5 reps being the most stimulating, we're talking about reps in reserve. And what that means is you have 5 reps left in the tank, or 4 RIR, 3 RIR, 2, 1, 0. 0 would be failure. Okay, and reps in reserve is important because it can measure how hard you're working or what you had left in the tank. And what we find when we're training is that 1 rep in reserve is the best bang for your buck because at failure, it's building the most fatigue. But at 1 rep in reserve, it's significantly less fatigue, but only marginally less stimulus. This is what the research shows, and which is why I and many others recommend 1 rep in reserve, so you're getting the most stimulus and the least amount of fatigue so that you can recover fully for the next workout. And to finalize my thought from earlier, 4 to 8 reps in a range is the best because doing a bunch of reps is only building a bunch of fatigue and giving you a similar stimulus. And so why would you build the most fatigue doing 20 reps in a set when you can get a little bit amount of fatigue for 4 reps and still get a bunch of stimulus and be fully recovered for the next workout to hit that stimulus again? This is why the 4 to 8 rep range is the best rep range to work with. The next one is 1 rep in reserve to limit fatigue. And I just went over this in the last diagram, but we want to limit fatigue so we're the most fresh for the next workout. The next one is 8 hours of sleep for recovery. This should be just self-explanatory. You need to sleep to build muscle and to recover completely. And the last one, and arguably one of the most important things, is to consume greater than or equal to 0.73 grams per pound of body weight in grams of protein. And so if I weigh 100 pounds, then I need 73 grams of protein at least. And we can double this. I'm just making it simple math. 200 pounds, you need 146 grams of protein. That's the minimum for the most muscle growth. Do that and you will absolutely build muscle, but I'll talk more about nutrition next. You can't out-train bad recovery or poor nutrition, and you might be spending hundreds of dollars on supplements that you don't actually need to be taking. But first, before we get into that, let's talk about protein. As I've already mentioned, you only need 0.73 grams per pound for protein intake. This is some newer studies coming out. It used to be 0.8 grams, and now they found it to be 0.73 grams per pound. Doesn't really matter. All you need to know is you need to be above this, and so you can make it easy and do 3/4 of your body weight, 4 grams of protein. So for a 180-pound person, that's going to be 135 grams of protein. For a 140-pound person, that's going to be 105 grams of protein, which means for skinny guys trying to gain weight, this is great news because you have to eat less of a satiating food, i.e. protein, and so you can focus more on calorie-dense carbs or fat sources. And what this also means is that you probably don't need protein powder because it's very easy to get 100 or 130 grams of protein in a day, especially on a maintenance or bulking diet. You can hit this goal with whole foods by incorporating protein into every single meal that you eat, which is fairly simple, especially when you incorporate dairy, things like yogurt, cheese, and milk, and you prioritize meat like chicken, pork, beef, and other things like beans, nut, and even some whole grains. Moving on, supplements that you should definitely be taking: creatine. If you are not on creatine, I highly encourage you to go out and buy some creatine. You can get some cheap stuff on Amazon. It is one of the cheapest supplements. It's one of the most well-studied and safest supplements that you can take. You can get 120 servings from Sam's Club for like 14 bucks. I just saw it the other day. It's super cheap. Another few things that, in my opinion, you should consider taking are fish oils. Fish oils contain high levels of omega-3s, which in the American diet, people don't get enough of. And so you can increase your omega-3 ratio by consuming fish oils, which are also pretty dang cheap. Vitamins and minerals. If you are deficient, you should be taking that vitamin and mineral. So for instance, if I'm deficient in vitamin D, then I'm going to supplement with vitamin D and not just some multivitamin that I am peeing 95% of it out, which is fine if that's also what you want to do. Another thing that I like recommending and taking, especially when I don't eat enough vegetables on a regular basis, is a greens powder. There's a bunch these days. I think just about every supplement company sells one, and I don't have a recommendation there. Just try them out and see which ones you like. If you've got a supplement that you take that I didn't list, drop it in the comments below. Let me show you what an optimized split actually looks like and why it outperforms the old, outdated bro splits. So I start with push day on Monday, and I hit chest for 4 sets, triceps for 2, shoulders for 2, abs for 2, all in that order. On Tuesday, I'll hit a pull day, and I'll do back for 4, shoulders for 2, biceps 2, forearms 2. Wednesday starts with legs, and I hit quads and hamstrings with 2 sets, calves for 2 and abs for 2. This is a lower volume day because the exercises are very hard, and it's after 2 higher volume days. And so this isn't my big day. Friday will be. Upper is going to be chest 2, back 2, shoulders, triceps, biceps, everything for 2 sets. On Friday, for lower, I do quads for 4, hamstrings for 4, lower back 2, abs 2. And so I'm hitting every major muscle group 2 times per week for 6 sets at least. And with this approach, with all the framework that I just talked about, I'm the strongest and most muscular I've ever been, and I'm still improving every single week. And so I implore you, take a picture of this, put in your own exercises, put in your favorite chest, your favorite triceps, put in your favorite movements, do them for 2 sets very hard, 1 rep in reserve, and come back to me and tell me. Like, you cannot come back and say that you are not the biggest and strongest that you've ever been. With this training split, I'm hitting every major muscle group hard, twice per week, with at least 48 hours of recovery between, so I'm limiting fatigue and really driving stimulus. And some changes you can make to this is you can shift this upper lower day another day forward for Friday and Saturday if you want to have another day of rest for even more recovery, but that's just completely up to you. I've been doing this training split for over a year now, and I am by far the strongest I've ever been, which is why I'm so sold on this method, and I'm trying to get you and everybody I know to hop on board. And you may be skeptical, and that's fine. I was too, because low volume sounds completely counterintuitive to actually growing and getting stronger, but it works. Just try it. And the benefits are numerous because I'm out of the gym in an hour or less every single time. I don't have a bunch of sets I have to focus on. I have 2 that I have to give my complete all out on. And so the focus is there, and the progress that you see training this way every single week is so awesome, and it's validating and motivating, and it just keeps me coming back for more. By combining everything we've covered, I can almost guarantee that you will have the most growth and strength improvement in 2026 if you follow these principles. If you enjoyed everything I talked about in this video and you want to learn more and implement everything that is inside this video, then you will love my community. If you're lacking accountability, we've got it. If you're lacking structure, we've got it. If you want to just join and lurk around and still get a bunch of value from the community, then that's okay too. It's free to join, and I'll drop a link in the description. Thanks for watching.